Three, two, one. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 129, MC Podcasting. Is it 29? Yeah, 29. So, this episode, since it's like, what day is it today? 14th of December.
14th? Fuck me.
We're a few days off Christmas now, and I think it's okay, socially acceptable to be in the Christmassy mood or watch Christmas movies now. I know this year's be slightly different. A lot of people will be putting their tree up in October and stuff. But I think once you're in the middle of December, like this is proper Christmassy fucking Christmas season. And without actually communicating with each other, we both are wearing Star Wars Christmas jumpers.
There we go.
There. Fucking hell.
Absolute fucking nerds. And then we can work during the Mandalorian interview.
There you go, man. Fucking hell. Plan for this here. Well, we do well at this. Anyway, so this episode, we're going to actually give our top 5 Christmas movies because we haven't really did a Christmassy episode, obviously, since it's not really Christmas. We can't do a Christmas episode. Don't know why I said that for.
I haven't done a Christmassy episode since last Christmas.
Well, that's really weird. A year, man. That's 12 months we've waited to talk about Christmas. It's so strange. Anyway, so this, I don't know how to do this because I'm guessing that our lists are going to have similar movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what to do. Do you just go from 5 to 1 and just fucking talk about why we love that movie?
You give your 5, right? You know,
really?
You give your no. You give like your 5th one. I'll give my 5th one. That kind of thing.
How about I give my 5th one, you give your 3rd one. I'll give my 3rd one as well.
So we'll just do it like that there. And then they will cross. And if we've talked about it already, then that's fine. And then I think whenever you've give your full list and I've give my full list, then we'll try make a combined list.
Oh yes, combined.
That's why we can be like a debate as to whether or not. You know, I think there's some things on my list that you'll not want on. I guess it's harder than I thought it was going to be.
Because the question I want to ask you, and I'll ask you later on because I'll give you time to think about it. My brother asked me this year, what's your favorite non-Christmassy Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite non-Christmassy?
So basically, what's your favorite movie to watch around Christmas time that isn't associated with Christmas?
No, way there. And I always thought that was a good question. Like, fuck, actually, it really is. Because there's so many. There's some movies that I associate with Christmas, and I actually have nothing to do with Christmas. You know, way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and when I put this list together, I'd said to you about that. I haven't included those movies on this list. I don't want to make an argument for those movies because I know they're not Christmas movies. So my criteria for putting these on the list is they are in some shape or form associated with Christmas, or they make me like they're associated with Christmas and they make me feel Christmassy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of these movies are cheesy and shit, but I love them. You know what I mean?
Like Channel 5 movies or some shit.
Yeah.
Like Marigold in a small town. Oh, is she going to find her love on Christmas Eve? Of course she is. It's amazing. I also said to you as well, try to think of a movie that you love, but it's probably not going to be in your top 5, but that you love and you watch every Christmas, but a lot of people hate and slag off. All right, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
So we'll do it at the end. So my number 5 is actually harder than I thought because I made a list and I totally forgot about this movie until I looked at my arm. I realized I have a tattoo of me. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I knew yours that was going to be on your list.
That wasn't all because this is I have a strange like relationship with this movie because I love it, but it's not really for Christmassy reasons. I just love it because I think the storyline's class, the characters are class, the animation. You know what I mean? Like the design and how. I mean, I love so much more about this movie than just it being a Christmassy movie. If that makes sense. So when I think of Christmassy movies, I always forget about this here. But having a tattoo on my arm, I think it has to make my list.
Yeah, no, I knew it would be on your list. It's not. My issue with this movie is I never watched it as a kid. Like I never grew up watching this movie, so I only watched this movie recently, and I didn't get into it. And I feel like it's the kind of movie if I had grew up watching it, I'd have a nostalgia feeling to it, and I'd probably enjoy it. Yeah. But it just don't. So because I missed that, I'm like I actually don't really like this film.
And I noticed as well my list. All these movies I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah, but that's what Christmas is. Like you associate Christmas with being a kid, you know.
That's what I mean. Like so, it's a good point you made there. Like because if I didn't watch these movies as a kid and I don't associate them with Christmas, would I have later on got into them? But anyway,
like if you just stuck on a movie right now, a Christmas film that you'd never seen before, that everyone's like, this is the best Christmas movie ever, you'd probably watch it and go, yeah, it's pretty good, because you don't have that childhood connection to it.
Yeah, I like emotional connection. Okay, what's your number 5?
Number 5, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna justify it, right?
Avengers.
My number 5 is Captain America Winter Soldier.
Fuck off.
Winter. Oh, joking, no, it's not.
Avengers.
My number 5, mate, is Jingle All the Way.
No way, serious?
I absolutely love this movie, and I know, like, see if you went and like critically examined this film and compared it to like The Wonderful Life or something, it doesn't hold up, right? But there's something about it every year that I watch it, and I'm just like from start to finish. And there's something about like Arnold Schwarzenegger playing like the normal run of the mill dad, and you're like, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, do you know what I mean? And there's so many great lines, so many cheesy moments. And it actually, like, I don't know, when I was thinking about it and I was putting it on the list, it's actually more layered than you think. Like, it is. It's ultimately about a boy, like a father trying to buy a boy's love.
Yeah. But
And it's about, like, commercialism and Christmas and all. It's class.
the thing as well, like, that's not on my list, but that was the one I was going to say to you. Like, everyone slags this off. I think it got like 10% in Rotten Tomatoes or something up there. But I love this movie. It was the first movie that I can remember seeing in the cinema. But I love it now for different reasons. I think if you rewatch it, it's almost like it's like pointing the finger at Christmas as a whole, almost like. And when you're a kid, you see Sinbad's character, the mailman, as this bad guy. But then when you grow up, you realize he's like the most sane guy in this. Everyone else is insane. Everyone else is like chasing after his doll. He's just like, oh, it's just he's corporation using like propaganda to make you think you need this toy and all. So like, that's so true. But he's meant to be this. Oh, he's a dark character. We don't like that guy in the movie because he's trying to ruin Christmas and all. Tell you, he didn't care about Christmas and all. Like, no, because he's the most sane person in this movie. No, but no, 100%. I watch that every single year. I love it. It's fucking great. I said, there's so many lines, quotable lines. It is very cheesy.
I just love Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's something about Arnold at that period of his career that he could just do comedy so well. It's like he almost leaned into it because before he was just the action star, and then he realized like he obviously was saying all these one-liners and people were laughing at them, but he was saying them seriously, and then he kind of leaned into that later on in his career, and he just became like a comedy genius.
Yeah, it is. It is. It gets too much stick, that movie. You know what I mean? Like Jake Lloyd, the wee kid in it, actually is annoying. I mean, like the wife and all kind of. But that neighbor, that whole dynamic with the neighbor, that is so fucking weird for a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's funny.
But like this kid, and then he tries to steal fucking the kid's toy, the neighbor's toy, on Christmas Eve, and burns down the guy's face. Like, this is grim, but it's so fucking funny. No, class movie. Definitely recommend it for anyone who hasn't watched it. So my number 4 is going to be Elf. You freeze. I froze.
It didn't make my list. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze there for a second. So yeah, Elf.
Elf, yes. I do really enjoy Elf as well. Tell me what's on your list.
It's on my list, and it's weird because I consider this movie a modern Christmassy movie, and it came out almost 20 years ago now. And it's so strange to think about that because that is the most recent movie on my list, so that's kind of giving away my list. I love it because it has. I love movies actually where Santa Claus is real. I know we all know Santa Claus isn't real, but I love them movies. It's like a serious movie. These serious people living in New York don't believe in Santa. It's like, nah, you actually he's alive the whole time. Like, what are you all about? No matter what. So I had a good message, and then ultimately the movie is about a father and son. That's all it is. It's like a son trying to get his father to love him, but it's obviously his father is really cold and it's very, very push off and doesn't believe he's his son for a period of time. But you know what I mean? So it's all about a father and son relationship, and that's why I think some Christmassy movies are amazing, and we'll get into it more further down the line. There has to be a human element involved. It can't just be Christmas. Christmas happens, but the actual storyline is about Buddy the Elf trying to find his father. Yeah, it happens at Christmas, and there's Santa Claus, and there's fucking sleigh bells and all that shit, but the real meaning is just like, it's a father or a son trying to find his father on Christmas, and it's just fucking just a nice message.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I love Elf. I think Michael Caine plays that role of like the angry dad so brilliantly, and obviously he has Will Ferrell to play off, so Will Ferrell's saying all these ridiculous things, and Will Ferrell's funny in it. But to me, what's funnier is Michael Caine's reaction to Will Ferrell being like an idiot.
Yeah.
The reason why it's not on my list is I think I've just played it out a wee bit. Like, I think it's not that I don't love it. It's just when I thought this year, it's like, what movies do I want to sit down and watch this year? I think I've just seen Elf a bit too many times recently to the point where I'm just like, it's not really a criticism of it. I think Will Ferrell's a bit hit and miss to me in general at times. He's brilliant in this film, but I think I've just played it out a wee bit,
No,
and that's why
100%.
I'm just like, there's other movies on my list that I would rather watch this year than Elf. But
And
I don't disagree with it being on the list. Like,
it's strange because like every year I watch the same like 15 movies, and a part of me is like I shouldn't just like some years skip these movies, so in 2 years time I can watch it and really enjoy it, because now I almost watch it and I know it. I'm not actually watching the movie. I'm watching because it's a routine. I have to
yeah,
watch it. And you're right. I think The Elf's one of the movies that I play that I get excited to watch it, but I don't get excited to watch the top three movies I'm going to tell you about. Like them top three movies are the best, and I get excited to watch these here. These other ones, I'm like, yeah, I could miss it one year and be okay with it. But I think The Elf, I saw it in the cinema as a kid. It just brings back all that childhood memories.
yeah. Right. So my number four, I found this list so hard because I wrote down a list of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And see, like my fifth and fourth choice, any one of these honorable mentions could go into that place. But
Yeah.
there's just something about this movie. I went with the Muppets Christmas Carol.
All right. Never was a
I
fan of the
don't know.
Muppets.
No, see, I'm not actually the biggest fan of the Muppets either. But there's something about this. The, by the way, just want to say something. On Elf, I actually said it was Michael Caine. The thing about James Caan, obviously. But
Yeah.
something about there's something about the Muppets. Like Michael Caine is in the Muppets, and he
Yes.
plays Scrooge so well. There's just something about this movie that I haven't watched it in a wee while, so I think this is why it's on my list. Is I'm looking forward to watching it this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's up there with one of the best retellings of this type of story. Like there's other movies that are made that this sort of Charles Dickens Christmas Carol that are also amazing, but they're so different. Whereas this kind of sticks to the original. This is like the real story of the Christmas Carol, where Scrooge is actually based in like fucking 1800s.
Yeah.
And but you have the Muppets in it, and it's just really funny.
Yeah.
It's done really, really well. I really, really enjoy that movie.
No, it is. A lot of people. It is when you watch these top 100 or top 10 Christmas movies of all time. That's always on it. I just never liked the Muppets. I never got into it. It always annoyed me. No, it just seems so obviously fake. I don't know. I just never got into them as a kid. I never watched them as a kid. So, but when I see it on, I kind of always watch it for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool because I know the storyline. I know what's happened. So I almost know that movie without watching it. But do you know, this is a fun fact? I don't know if this is true or not, but I read it somewhere. It's probably not true, but I'll say it anyway. Do you know what the most accurate retelling of a Christmas Carol is in like a movie form?
What?
That Mickey Mouse one with like Daffy Duck's
Oh, yeah.
uncle. 'Cause that's only like 20 minutes long, because the Christmas Carol, the original, is like only 30 pages long.
Yeah.
Film. So it's really
Right.
short. While you watch like the Jim Carrey one, he did there a couple of years ago. It's like fucking 2 hours long. It's like, Jesus, like, why are you stretching all this out? While in the book is actually really short, and supposedly the Disney Mickey Mouse one, not to, is the most accurate telling, which I love. I watched it the other week, and it's actually class. It's good. It's really short, 20 minutes. Boom, watch it before you
There's
go
something
out.
about that story. Like it's so simple. It's iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You've got a
100%.
miserable man visited by three ghosts and changes his ways. It's so simple, and you're like, it's actually an iconic Christmas story. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is 100%, and that's why I said to you earlier on, like my favorite Christmas movies are that it's not that they're all Christmassy, but they have a really good message in them, and I think that's what makes these in these specific Christmas movies stand out, like The Elf and stuff, and like Christmas Carol, because ultimately there's a good message behind them all. It's not all about Christmas. Yes, it happens at Christmas and it's a Christmassy movie, but these storylines would be great any time of the year. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is similar, but it's a different telling of Christmas Carol, Scrooged, with Bill Murray. I love this movie more than anything, and it doesn't make my top 2, but it's fucking close to it. That way, Bill Murray plays this character so well. Obviously, it's a modern version of A Christmas Carol, and obviously, it's probably not as accurate to the storyline as probably what people would want of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. But I just think it's told in a modern way, and it's put, because you watch The Christmas Carol and you're like, oh, this happened years ago. This is all old and beat out and all too. But you watch the Scrooge, it's like, this is modern. People are like this all year round. I don't know. I think this Bill Murray's amazing. But the one thing about this movie, which I don't like, I think he almost turns too quick. If you notice, like he's always sarcastic, miserable up until basically the last scene, and he's just the most Christmassy Christmas guy ever. You're just kind of like,
I
oh,
agree.
okay.
So the way it normally works is like they get visited by the first ghost. They don't really change their way that much, and then by the time the second ghost comes,
Like,
it's like
okay.
you can see them changing, and then the final ghost, right? They've changed. With Bill Murray, I feel like he was really grumpy. Second ghost, and then at the end it's like boom, changed, and then
Yeah.
he's happy. I love this movie as well. It's on my list. It's there's something about Bill Murray. Like if he wasn't in this movie wouldn't be anywhere near my list.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. The movie is
Exactly.
so funny from start to finish. It's the
Yeah.
kind of movie at Christmas. If you flick through the channels and that's on, you're watching the whole film. Like,
You have to watch it. Like, yeah. And
yeah,
it is so funny because Bill Murray just adds a layer of class to this movie, and he makes funny jokes really funny and shit
yeah,
jokes funny that way. There's a scene. Do you remember that part where he's visited by the ghost of Christmas past, and he goes back to Christmas Eve when he's a kid, and his dad walks in, basically doesn't give him a train set, but gives him
yeah,
some meat or ham or some
yeah.
shit. And then Bill Murray starts to cry, and then the guy's like, "Told you we cry." He's like, "No, I'm crying because what a pathetic boy I was. That ham's like worth like so much money now in the stock exchange." This is like he's like, "Fuck's sake, he's just a prick." He's like, "This is so fucking funny."
Yeah. Or even the bit when he's about the mouse and they can't get the mouse to sit still, and he asks if he tried to staple. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, he's just so heartless in it. But yeah, no, it's a great film.
Okay, what's your
Will I
number
go to
three?
my number three? My
Yeah.
number three is Home Alone.
Oh, which one?
The first one.
First one? Okay.
I love the second one as well. It's not on my list because it's the same movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's like you can almost put Home Alone 1 and 2 together. Like it's at the second one. The only thing I like better about the second one is it has a better. Do you know that scene where the TV's playing in the hotel room and the gunshots and stuff and you filthy animal? Like number
Yeah.
2 has a better scene of that. But overall, I think number 1 is the superior film. It's
Yeah,
the
what it
original.
is.
It's
Yeah.
it's the one that you kind of watch. I do really like the second one, as I say, but it's just too similar to the first one.
Yeah.
What can you say about Home Alone, mate? Home Alone is a classic Christmas film. It's
Amazing.
a movie that just doesn't get old.
Yeah.
It's a film that you will show your own kids. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
they'll like
100%.
it. It's just a great film.
And I think Macaulay Culkin doesn't get to. And obviously, people praise Macaulay Culkin for being a class child actor, but he's so good in them movies. Like he's not even he's amazing. How he holds the screen, how he holds. He's in a movie with fucking like these actors who are fucking way superior. Like
Joe Pesci,
fucking
mate.
Joe Pesci. He's in that scene with Joe Pesci, and he's upstaging Joe Pesci in it. That's how good he is, and I'll tell you. That's how I think Macaulay Culkin like these two. A lot of people do slag off the second one, but I do prefer the second one. I think I prefer it because I love New York. The idea of being in New York City at Christmas is just Christmas to me. New York is Christmas. Like I've been there at Christmas and it's fucking class. It's so like the snow, Central Park, all the toys, all the shops and all too. It really is like kind of special. But I didn't know like number 2 is like really badly rated. Like Rotten Tomatoes gave it like 40%, and I was like, what? That's crazy. I know.
They can be quite unforgiving. People can be unforgiving if it's a retread of the same movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. But I think it holds up and all too. Obviously, it's a bit silly. It doesn't really make sense because he's dropping bricks on people's head from a great distance. Like, actually practically killing them. You know, he drops an iron on the guy's head in the first one. Like, he's busy trying to torment these people and he's fucking for quite. He's quite dark. Macaulay Culkin this year, but yeah, great movie. Definitely a Christmas must every year.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
Die Hard. Die Hard is that he did make my number 1. I think you know why he did make my number 1, and I think it's quite obvious what's in my number 1 anyway. But I do think, like when I think of Die Hard, I get excited. Like I think even though like when I grew up, I used to watch Die Hard all year round. I just loved it. I used to watch it during the summer. I just thought it was a class movie. And then someone realized, oh, it's a Christmas movie. I was like, oh, so it is. And now I don't watch it until Christmas. And I think something about it's so iconic because it's the only movie on my list that actually has nothing to do with Christmas. Technically, if you know what I mean. Like, and a lot of people do argue that it's not a Christmassy movie, which I would fucking disagree with because it's so Christmassy. It's like a guy basically trying to rekindle his marriage. His wife moved away from New York to LA, and he's basically trying to make it special by seeing her and all too. And it's like that the dynamic the whole way where he's fucking up, and that's what the Die Hard trilogy is so good because it's just basically him finding himself in these awkward situations and really dangerous situations. But he's just trying to be a family man. He's trying to be a dad to his kids and a good husband, but he can't because he's too dedicated to the job and shit. But this movie's amazing. Like Hans Gruber, one of the best villains in like TV history or movie history. You know, Alan Rickman, his first ever movie. Like Jesus Christ, John McClane to be a badass superhero or action star after being in fucking Moonlight and all that. Like this movie shouldn't have worked. It should not have worked, but it did.
I think, to me, I love the movie. I think it's one of the best action movies ever made.
Hmm.
It's not on my list because it's not that I
What?
don't associate it. Yeah, it's not. This is why it's not on my list. It's not. I accept that it's a Christmas movie. It takes place during a Christmas office party. Like, it meets the criteria of a Christmas movie. But as you said, I can watch Die Hard in July.
Yeah.
I can't watch Scrooged, Home Alone, Muppets, Jingle All the Way in July.
Yeah.
So the reason why I didn't want to put that on, it's not that I don't love the movie. It's just because I've never associated it with Christmas.
Yeah.
As you say, like now I get it. You put it on during Christmas and stuff, but this movie is just as good in June, July, August, September. It doesn't matter. Whereas to me, I need to be in a certain mood to watch a Christmas film. I'm not going to stick on Jingle All the Way in August.
Yeah.
But I would stick on Die Hard. So 100%. That's the only reason why. But I understand why people would put that on the list because it's an amazing film. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Joe McCain is so funny. Welcome to the party, pal. Fucking ho ho ho! Now I've got a machine gun. Like there's so many iconic lines.
It's just so quotable. And as I said, there's a real threat, and like with Hans Gruber, it's so dangerous. The way he shoots Nakatomi in the head, like so early on, I was like, oh, I'm not messing around here. I was like, Jesus, that's so dark.
Even the cop outside is absolutely hilarious. The one, like the FBI guy that comes in, and the guy falls off the building, and he looks up and he's like, "Hope he wasn't one of our guys." Something like that. It's like, oh my god, it's really funny. It's a great film. It's
You're right. Die Hard probably is probably one of the best or the best action movie ever made, and it kind of redefined action movies. At that time, you had like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you had Sylvester Stallone, really fucking roided up fucking heroes like Terminator. You had like Rambo, but then you had this guy he's in shape, but he's just like someone like your dad or something. Could be easy to be your dad, and he's kicking ass. It's so raw. It's so real. You feel like when he shoots someone and all too, he punches people and all too. You actually feel it. That's why it's such a good action movie. But I honestly, when I think of Die Hard, I get a real Christmassy feeling in my stomach. I don't know what it is. It's class.
Fair enough. Right, we'll go to my number two. Number two is a movie we've already talked about. My number two is Scrooged. The reason why I struggled to put this on the list, well, probably the reason why I struggled to put Muppets on the list is because I knew I was always going to put Scrooged in. So I look at my list and go, it's not really that balanced. Like I've got two of the same story.
Yeah,
but true. I just think Scrooge is different enough. Like it's so different to the Muppets.
Yeah.
It's telling the same story, but you would not think that when you watched it. You know what I mean? I think you could sit down and watch the Muppets. Like you could sit down and watch the Muppets, and then you couldn't watch Jim Carrey's Scrooge right after.
No.
But you could watch Scrooged because it is like a different film. So that's kind of why my justification for having both. But I don't think there's really much more we can say about Scrooged.
Yeah, but also like you gotta it's different as well, because obviously in like the original Christmas Carol, he's going to see his family, but alright, his nephew and some shit or whatever it is, or his grandson, whatever it is. But obviously in Scrooge, Scrooge, he's basically he goes to his brother, but in Scrooge is all about the girl in it. He's trying to get the girl, so it is a different dynamic and different storyline slightly. So it's kind of different in that sense. But yeah, you're right. We've said enough. Scrooge is just like a classic. So my number one. Do you want to try to guess it?
I already know it. It'll be the same as mine.
It's Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Big gremlins. Yeah. So it's Wonderful Life. I think it's Wonderful Life is probably one of the greatest movies ever made. Period. I think it is like the message behind it, how they told it. That movie's been redone and redone countless times. We've seen it in every other Christmassy knockoff, every other Simpsons episode. It's been done so much where a guy gets to experience his life when he wasn't born, or see his life, or see the people that he affected during his life. It's such a great message, and why it's so good, this movie as well. And it is a Christmas movie. It's hard to it's weird because only like 20 minutes of it happens at Christmas, or 30 minutes happens at Christmas. So it's like a 2-hour movie. Like a quarter of it happens at Christmas, but you can't really watch this movie. You can, because the message is so good. You can watch it all year round, but it is such a great movie. Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed is just fucking fantastic in it. Like that's Like, oh fuck man, I just love it. But what's so good about this movie? It's a feel good movie. Like you can't tell me you watch that
Like,
movie.
it's get pretty dark, like.
Yeah, it's man, it's depressing up until the ending, up until he fucking sees
Yeah,
Bert. Bert, you know me.
running about.
So
Yeah.
that part, you can't watch that movie and not have such a feel good feeling after. Like, be so happy for your life afterwards. And that's why I watch it every Christmas Eve before I go to bed. Because I go to bed like, fuck me, that was class. I feel so good about myself, and I feel like, and that's why this movie's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, as well, you're saying it's an iconic story, but what I think is great about the film, if you watched the first hour of that movie, you'd have no idea where that's going. Like, you would
Yeah,
have no idea how that movie's going to end. It
yeah,
really builds up the character and layers him to know that how tough of a time he's having and why he gets to a certain place. And then there's a lot of detail in the movie. There's a lot of fucking real estate talk. There's a lot of movie talk, and it's a proper film. It's not just a throwaway Christmas movie, like, oh, we're all going to feel good about ourselves. It's a proper movie. So
yeah,
you could. I only watch this at Christmas, but because I think it's the classic Christmas film. I think most people associate this as like one of the best Christmas movies ever made. And Jimmy Stewart in it. There's something about that time of acting. I don't know what it is. It's obviously they act differently now. Like the dialogue now is so different to how they made
yeah,
movies back then. But there's something about the way he speaks on screen. It's so crisp. Like
yeah.
everything he says, you're kind of like it just has your attention the
He
whole way
holds
through.
your attention. Yeah,
Yeah, you're like, what's he going to say next? Like you could just watch him have a conversation and be enthralled by the movie,
yeah.
and he's absolutely superb actor.
And it is so good because it is so layered when you think about it. Like, because obviously the whole idea was him trying to get away and travel and all too, but he gives his
Yeah,
university place to his brother, and he stays because he wants to help the building loan company, which is basically almost like a credit union place where people can save rather than go to the big banks, i.e., like, so it's like really anti-capitalism as well. As I love about it, it's like so layered. Obviously, on the first layer, you can watch and enjoy it, but this guy feeling good at Christmas and loving his family and all too, and touching all these people that he didn't think he actually helped. But you scratch the layer, it gets deeper and darker and all too. It's always suicide and depression and stuff and about capitalism and money and all too. But obviously, you don't need to go that far. I'm just saying, like, that's how good this movie is. And it's strange. This movie was a flop when it came out. This
yeah,
movie, yeah, this movie was made for like millions of pounds, like 1930 something, and actually, it didn't even make that money back. So it's weird because even at that time, it was almost ahead of its time. This movie, people didn't understand like a movie could be made like this here, to be like multi-layered, multifaceted, about depression, about family, about Christmas, about everything. That's
yeah.
why I think people were like, "What did I watch? Everything was that good?" But I think over time, people start to realize that that is almost like a perfect movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of movies just to touch on the list as a whole. There's a couple of movies I'm surprised it didn't make your list.
Go
I
for it.
thought Trading Places. I thought Trading Places make it in there.
I know. Too far. I just forgot. I just forgot about it.
I actually forgot about it.
Okay.
I
The
wrote it
elf.
down. I
I
watched it.
am trading places.
That is my wonderful life. Yeah, wonderful life. Born Laird. Shit, get that out of there. Trading Places. Eddie Murphy, put it in.
Actually, Die Hard. Oh my god, actually, it's a fucking not a Christmas movie. Die Hard.
Right. So Trading Places. I thought you'd have in. I thought you
Should have.
might bring Batman Returns in as well.
Again, I
That is
don't.
that is Christmas as well, though.
It's 100%. But again, I can watch Batman. It's kind of what you said about Die Hard, or like about
Get
like
Die Hard out there.
yeah. But like you can watch Batman Returns all year round. And again, I didn't
Yeah.
associate Batman Returns with Christmas until I grew up and people started mentioning it on lists. I'm like, so it is actually. I was like, I grew up watching. I did tape. I remember getting that. That's why I love Nightmare Before Christmas. My man got me Batman Returns. I was like, why is the first one called Batman Returns? I never knew there was a first one before that. There you go. But yeah, it should have been on it. But it's so hard, this list, and this list could change on a week by week basis. I think my
Yeah.
top two could change. A Wonderful Life and Die Hard don't change, but the rest could easily change. Home Alone was in there, and I took it at last minute. The Elf was in it because I'm excited to watch The Elf. But again, I could easily put it in Trading Places, and actually I should have put it in Trading Places because I love that movie. But what about Gremlins? Is that a Christmassy movie?
Nah, I don't like it.
No.
I don't really like. I'd never really get into Gremlins. It used to scare me as a kid.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just like, nah, not for me.
I actually,
I
my
don't really like. I don't like the blend between horror and Christmas. I know you probably do, but I don't really like that.
I'm the same. I don't think it's weird. I don't get it. And I grew up with Gremlins, and I do associate with Christmas, but I don't care for it until so. And my brothers fucking love it. That's my brother's favorite Christmas movie and all too. And we came back the other week. We went Christmas shopping, and we came back, had a bottle of wine, and turned on Sky, and Sky Movies had the Gremlins on. And it was just like about a third in the movie. I was like, let's watch this, get in the Christmas movie. I watched the whole movie. I'm like, fuck, this is so Christmassy. Like, it is. It's like, I can see why people watch this every year. I'm not going to watch it every year, but I can see why people watch it every year, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Another movie for me that nearly made it was The Santa Claus. I think
Great
Tim
movie.
Allen's Santa Claus is such a great film. I actually see see when Tim Allen becomes Santa and then he comes back to living his normal life and he's just like shaving and all and his beard keeps coming back and he just keeps getting fatter and fatter and he's going into the office and all and everyone's looking at him. It's fucking hilarious. And again, that's a movie that's basically about a guy trying to bond with his kid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that movie works so well. And I think the bad thing about the Santa Claus, which you're right, it's a fucking great movie, the first one especially.
They
And
killed it.
what?
They killed it by making too many of them.
I think that's what happened. And even though I like two, I think two's grand. And I watched three for the first time. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, you know, like Martin Short's in it. I mean, it's okay. But it's not like it's so different from the first one. The first one's like more serious, more like a proper movie. While 2 and 3 are all this like almost like animated, very colourful fucking Christmassy movie, which is fine for kids and all too. But the first one is really dark and deep because, as you said, it's about a son and a father trying to bond, and his son doesn't even want to stay from Christmas Eve and all. So he's sad. So yeah, you're right. Santa Claus is good.
So the movie then that you love that people hate was Jingle All the Way. So for me, that movie would be. I love Christmas. I don't think it's not a good film, but I actually just really enjoy it. I remember going to see that in the cinema and left thinking this is actually a really good Christmas movie. But I understand it gets shit on a lot. Like so it does. It's good
because it is very silly, but it's silly. But I think it has a good blend of silliness and seriousness and creepiness as well. That's why I think it is such an iconic Christmas movie. And I don't see why people hate it so much because it's fucking. How you not watch it and get excited for Christmas? And all? I know it's cheesy and shit, but as you said, I saw it in the cinema. It's the first movie that I can remember seeing in the cinema. My mum said we saw Toy Story 1 before. I can't remember seeing Toy Story, but that was the movie I remember walking in the cinema because my brothers, Jerry and Patrick, were going to see Empire Strikes Back. It was like remastered, no special edition, released in cinema. And I was like, fuck, Star Wars is already out. I'm going to see Jingle All the Way. Obviously, I should have wanted to see Star Wars, to be fair. But again, like, it is such an iconic Christmas movie. I don't know why I get shit on so much because I think it's great.
Yeah. Right, well, is that us then, or what do you think?
Well, do you want to try to combine them now?
Yeah, okay, so I don't know why. Right, so number 5 then. So you like Jingle All the Way. I like Jingle All the Way.
Put that in.
Is there enough there for you to accept? What's your number 5?
My number 5 was Nightmare Before Christmas, but again, I could watch it all year round. That's not really a Christmassy must for me. Okay. But yeah, Jingle All the Way, yeah, I'll go for that. I love that movie.
Okay. So for me, my number 4 is Muppets. I'm happy to take Muppets out because I've got Scrooged. So I understand it's similar. So I'll get rid of Muppets.
I'll give
that one.
We'll say Home Alone then. Because I put Home Alone 2 down. I like Home Alone. I'm like, alright, I'll put Home Alone in. Because Home Alone is an iconic Christmas movie. But is that okay? Go for 4?
Yes, so we'll go Jingle All the Way at 5 and Home Alone at 4. Yeah. Now we both have Scrooged in there. I have it at 2 and you have it at 3.
I can't have a Christmas list without Die Hard, mate, though. I can't allow you to do it. I'll put Die Hard 3 and put you can put Scrooge higher up if you want, but Die Hard needs to be in this list somewhere. maybe 3.5. 3.5.
But I love Die Hard as well, so it's just I didn't really associate it with Christmas. But Jingle All the Way, Home Alone. We'll do Jingle All the Way, Home Alone, Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard. I think the top 2 is
Die Hard's number 2. Okay.
Number 3, you mean?
So no, Jingle All the Way is number 5. Home Alone's number 4. Scrooge.
Oh,
number 3.
I was going to give you Scrooge number 2 because.
Okay, well we'll do Scrooge number 2 then.
And then It's on the Flies.
No, Christmas for the Cranks at number 1.
Deck the halls.
Fred Claus.
I like Fred Claus. I saw it in the cinema. It was good. Or 4 Christmases.
Okay, so that's our list. Number 5, Jingle All the Way. Number 4, Home Alone. Number 3, Die Hard. Number 2, Scrooged. And number 1, Wonderful Life. So the movies that aren't making that are Elf, Home Alone 2, Trading Places, Batman Returns. What else is there? Like what? Santa Claus. Like, there's a lot of movies that people would be like.
It's hard, like,
People also love Edward Scissorhands. Like, people associate that with Christmas too.
no, I love that movie. I love massive Tim Burton fan, and I fucking grew up in that movie. There's 30 minutes of it's in Christmas, but it all takes place. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not a Christmas movie. Sorry.
Not Christmas movie.
It can't. It can't.
And what else? Well, here, another massive movie, mate, that we haven't talked about is Marigold on 34th Street.
Yes, I'm indifferent yet there. I like it, but if I don't watch it, I don't care.
You're alright.
Okay. Yeah. What about you?
I like it. Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I would rather sit down and watch Jingle All the Way than Marigold on 34th Street.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I had this.
Marigold on 34th Street is definitely a better movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we know that, but for me, Jingle All the Way is more Christmassy. And I actually had this is first world problems. I know this here. So we watched Jingle All the Way like last week. I think it was the 1st of December. And I sat there and thinking after me, we watched that too early. We watched it too fucking early. We should have waited the Christmas week. But that's like a Christmas. That's like one of the best ones. You watch that close to the time. Like, you don't watch It's a Wonderful Life in fucking the 1st of December. You watch that Christmas Eve. That's the last one you watch. And I remember thinking, Jingle All the Way. We watched that way too early. She's like, watch it again. Like, no, why watch it? We can't do it. They're really open goals here. But here, before we go, who is Santa Claus to you? Who is your iconic Santa Claus?
Oh fuck. It might even be Tim Allen, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Tim Allen's mine.
Yeah, no, it would be. It would be Tim Allen. Because I mean, what other movies on our list that we've talked about that actually has a Santa?
I know. As I'm thinking as well. Obviously, if you look at Trading Places, you can go Dan Aykroyd for that wee drunk scene. But obviously, people go to. People say, that's so fucking gross.
Gross, isn't it?
How did I not have that on my list? I'm so stupid. That is so depressing. But again, that movie's good because the best part happens after Christmas. The Christmas Eve scene is literally depressing. And like, he's on the train eating the salmon, but the salmon's kind of embedded in his beard.
I did always associate that with Christmas, so like
it is. Alright. No, I'm just saying, like, I actually watch that after Christmas sometimes because it's like almost a New Year's Eve movie as well, and obviously they go to fucking New York and win all the money. Shout out to my video I made on explaining the internet there, for fuck's sake, everyone doesn't know. But yeah, because a lot of people say Attenborough for Santa Claus because of American 34th Street, and he is very iconic as Santa Claus. But yeah, Tim Allen for me as well.
Tim Allen, yeah. Right, well that's all.
One more fucking thing. What is your favorite non-Christmassy movie? Christmas movie?
Oh, right. So to me, I associate like Lord of the Rings, A Fellowship of the Ring, because that came out on Christmas every year.
Yeah,
They come out back to back on Christmas, and I always seen that on my birthday. My birthday's just after Christmas. Dad used to take me and my brother to see them. Yeah. So to me, like, on a fucking cold December night, watching Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring is an amazing movie. Like,
it is so Christmassy. It's so weird because it's not Christmassy. And it was weird because Oshin, my nephew, I realised I was Oshin's age when I saw Lord of the Rings for the first time in 2001. I was 8 years old. I'm like, I told my mom was like, did that just come out there a couple of years ago? I know it feels like that there. 19 years ago it came out now.
That's so fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Man,
but for me, even though this is not really for me, I can watch this all year round, but Back to the Future is a real Christmassy movie for people. Go watch that, and Star Wars as well.
Yeah, I just think, see, when you think about it, just good movies. Just fucking good movies. I could sit down and watch Jaws on Christmas. I don't care. It's still good. You know what I mean? Even though
so for me, I love Back to the Future.
I watched that recently.
My favorite one I watched it in years. But yeah, my favorite non-Christmassy movie to watch at Christmas is Rear Window. But again, just an amazing movie. Happens in the summer. Doesn't not
happens in the summer as well. Like, they're all parboiling in that film, aren't they?
Yeah. So for me, that's a real Christmassy movie. Even though it has nothing to do with Christmas, I watch that every year. But so that was our list. We did our own list, and we did the combined list, which I think it stands up, to be fair. That list is pretty good.
Yeah. There's a lot of good movies not on it, yeah. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, you could make a new list with none of those movies on it, maybe other than Wonderful Life.
And still be, and you could
argue. Still be a good list. You could make a list that has Wonderful Life, Elf, Home Alone 2, Batman Returns, and Trading Places.
That's a pretty good list.
it's a pretty good list. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of good Christmas films. But yeah, so that was our sort of list.
Yeah.
How many subscribers do we have now, Dan?
Was it
About 1,700, isn't it?
1,740? It slowed down there.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I think I slowed down because our reactions have slowed down. So I'm going to get back on that there shit. But
So
again,
we've got about 1,700, and we're looking to get about 4 million. So if you could just subscribe, and then
yeah.
that would help us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Cheers.
Peace out.
You are now listening to MCPodcasting.